I get shit done, I have fun. It's my time and I'm the one. I'm breaking through.
Hello, welcome to the Business Renovator. So, why eat a frog? We'll find out a couple of reasons why that makes sense. But before we do, let's have a word from my sponsor, Focal Point. Welcome back. If you're watching this live, thank you for being here. And if you're watching this on a replay, thank you for watching it at a different time. And by the way, if you are watching it on a replay, if you go #replay, let us know where you're from. That would be fantastic. Also, if you would be so kind, if you could go to our YouTube channel and subscribe, that would be terrific. It would help us get more subscribers, obviously, if you joined us. Anyway, why eat a frog? Well, actually, my first experience of eating a frog, I gagged. We were at a house party, and everybody had to bring a dish, and we all came together, and it was a wonderful meal, except for the appetizer that first time I experienced frog legs. People say they taste like chicken. I have no idea. I was so queasy, I couldn't even eat them. So that's why we use the example of eat that frog, not because I'm queasy about it, because some people love them, and that's fantastic. But if you think about your biggest, juiciest challenge, problem, opportunity that you're reluctant to take on, think of it as that crazy frog that I was just mentioning. And metaphorically, think of it that way. Because if we can eat that big, ugly, juiciest, sneaky frog in our personal and business life, then and we get that out of the way early on in the day, early on in the week, early on in the month, early on in the quarter, because sometimes the frogs, you just can't eat them all in one bite. They're big projects, but continuing to eat away at them one bite at a time and be enthusiastic about it makes it a lot easier to get done. So let me share an image here. I'm going to do it a little bit different than that. Hang on, technical. There's what I'm looking for. So eat that frog. Being part of the Focal Point organization, where we have a couple of hundred coaches around the globe, if you have a question on how you could eat your frogs, if you were looking for a recipe in terms of your business, you can ask me. Phil at Coach Phil is my email address, phil@coachphil.ca, actually. And you could send me your question, and we can answer questions around time, team, exit strategies, and finance, money, those kind of things. And if I don't have the right recipe for your frog eating journey, that's not a problem. There's a couple of hundred of us around the globe. So just reach out and we'll make something happen for you in terms of having a conversation with one of my esteemed peers, or perhaps myself. Anyway, eat that frog. It is one of the top sellers, if not the top seller, on getting more stuff done. Now, you could talk about time management, but we really only have 24 hours in a day. So it's really not managing the time. It's managing what you're doing with the time that's available. So today we're going to talk about some ideas and strategies around that for you. And if you were to implement them on a consistent basis, you'll be able to double your productivity, help identify some low value activities, and unlock some of your mental powers. As you can see by this image here, 1 million plus attendees in 42 different languages have participated in this program. One of my favorite stories is a client of mine. He took on a project, was a personal project while I was working with him and his sales team. He added one more aspect of one of the things he wanted to get done, and that was to build a cottage and take his land and the holiday trailers and build an actual cottage. So that whole process was one of his big, juiciest personal frogs, and he made it happen, and they've been able to enjoy it. And with the flexibility of where to hang out at home in their current house or at their cottage, they have choices now. It was all because he took on eating a frog project. So are you ready to eat that frog? Let's talk about a couple of things here. Confronter versus Evader. So the confronters take on the challenges, the frogs. They find the sauces, the recipes, the solutions, the things they need to do, the actions to take on, and they and find a way to make it happen. If you know what you want and why you want it, which is really a way to define the frog. Here's a recipe to eating more frogs, knowing what you want and why you want it, and then stifle the how, unless the how takes you towards it. That's one great recipe for eating frogs that are holding you back. So confronters acknowledge and face their fear, and they're involved in confronting it. They take charge of their emotions. And the flip side of that is the evaders fear the unknown and lack the trust in themselves often. And that is something that they need to have to be able to move forward. Fear is such a powerful thing for us all. It's actually, at our creative subconscious level, its job is to maintain our sanity. So our self-image of who we see ourselves as. If we don't see ourselves as a confronter to take on things, we'll be an evader, and our creative subconscious mind will actually find ways to creatively avoid doing the things that are uncomfortable. And guess what? The day ends, we haven't got it done. The weekends, we haven't got it done. The month ends, it's still not done. And the bills are still coming in, and the broken promises are still happening. So by getting in the habit of eating your own frog, finding a recipe to make it for you a little easier, so you don't have that awful experience I had at a house party, you'll find ways to get it done. So come face to face with your challenge and find a way, invent a way, and figure out why you want to do it and what you want to do, and you'll create a way to make it happen. So take it on head on, but don't just do it, because just do it, as I mentioned before, our creative subconscious mind will creatively help us find ways not to do it. So find reasons why you want to eat that frog, why you want to take on that obstacle, why you want to take on that challenge. Having the why for it is really a powerful strategy to help you move forward. So here's an interesting quote. It is the quality of time at work that counts and the quantity of time at home that matters. That's something to ponder for you. Think about that. And let's go to the next one. You can never climb the ladder of success with both hands in your pockets. That might not be totally true. You might be able to do it, but it's easier if you take on and use all of your assets and eat the damn frog. Hey, Vishal, thank you for popping in. Appreciate that. And I'm glad that you're finding these interesting points. So maybe take your hands out of your pockets and give this a shot. Try climbing the ladder to success. And one of the other things, too, is devastating for a lot of people is they'll get to the top of the ladder, stand on the building or the mountaintop and look and say, oh, that's not what I want it to be. So one of the things you can do to help you with that area is actually think on paper. Where do you want to be? What do you want to do? What's the challenges you're facing? What are the dreams that you have? Write it in paper. Put it in a journal. A reflective thinking journal is a really powerful thing. I've got one over here as I scoot off a camera. Here's one right here where I've got a few notes and things in it. And I find if you write in color, it's a better idea. And the reason for that is unless you're a child, our minds aren't as open. They're not quite as, we're like a sponge, but it's kind of saturated. Whereas a child is like a dry sponge, and they're open and receptive to all sorts of new things, and it just falls into their subconscious mind, whereas we need to take some strategic steps to help us get there. So one way to do that is to use colors like the pens are showing here. Use images, like I've got images of the frog. I've got some the image of a clock there, time for action, and writing thinking on paper, which is the journal, which is the Eat That Frog, it's a journal that I had put together for my clients and prospects. And it's a blank book where you get to write in everything and anything. And if you capture your thoughts and ideas on, and even the things that, like, not just your good thoughts, the things that you're frustrated with, things that are fearful, the frogs that you're struggling to eat, if you were to write them down and pay attention to them and review it periodically, like once a week or once a month, and then over several months, you'll catch yourself, see what trends are happening that you're creating in your own life. And if you're to get clarity as to what that's all about, guess what's going to happen? You'll find out what's important and what's not important, and you get to make some choices, because we can't possibly get everything done. I'm going to share a slide on that, or an image or a thought here shortly. So let's hold on to that one and go to this great quote that's it's your job to, if it is your job to eat a frog, it's best to do it first thing in the morning. And if it's your job to eat 2 frogs, it's best to eat the biggest one first. And there's a psychological rationale for that. Now, whether Mike Twain was the originator in this quote or not, I'm not sure, but my understanding, that's where it originated from. Nevertheless, think of your opportunities that are in front of you, and what are the obstacles / frogs that are stopping you from getting there? So Mark Twain allegedly was the one who was the creator of this. He was actually fascinated with science and scientific inquiry, and he developed a close and lasting relationship with Nikola Tesla, and the two spent much time together in Tesla's lab. Isn't that an interesting sort of thing? So Mark Twain is his writing name. His real name is Samuel Langhorne Clemens, and he's one of the wittiest writers of the time. He wrote things like The Adventures of Tom Sawyer and The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn and the Great American Novel. Just a little bit of history thrown in with eating the frog. You know, appetizers with your frogs was not a bad idea. So that's where the quote came from. And Brian Tracy, which is where the content that I'm talking about is coming from. Brian put together a program called Eat That Frog, and actually it's in a book. And we as Focal Point people, we also deliver a course. And the program and the book is based on 21 strategies or activities to help you get more stuff done. Now, what I found in delivering it is that nobody ever uses all 21 of them. And certainly that's okay. What if you were to take 1 or 2 or 3 of them, put them together and use them on a regular basis? What would happen? Well, what we find happens is people get more stuff done. As I was mentioning earlier, a client of mine was able to build a cottage, which was kind of a dream he had, a wish he had, but he turned it into a tangible goal and started moving towards it. So Brian Tracy's Eating a Frog is based on Mark Twain's quote about tackling the most daunting tasks and getting them done. And by doing that, we're going to increase our causative power. We're going to increase our self-esteem, and we're going to be able to elevate ourselves to take on more things, more challenges, and express ourselves more fully. So the concept is similar to how you eat an elephant, one bite at a time. Brian's main point in this philosophy is eating your most ugliest frog first is really an empowering thing and powerful way to get more stuff done. And then eat the next ugliest one and continue on until you've eaten all your frogs. Now, that's not to say that there won't be bigger, uglier frogs that show up, because there will. As you grow and become more competent and confident in your life, other opportunities you haven't even thought of will show up. And guess what? There'll be some frogs that you've never eaten before. You'll need maybe some of the recipe components from previous ways that you've eaten frogs, and you might need to get more ingredients, like more skill, learn some more knowledge and apply it, meet other people. It's a journey after all, right? Life is not a destination. So the frog is your biggest, ugliest challenge. That's really what we're talking about. And it's awful. It also helps or hinders, and it creates procrastination. One of the chapters in the book and in our training is Brian introduced the idea of creative procrastination. Who would have thought creatively procrastinating? That's almost like making a list of things not to do because they're not going to take you to your goals, which is another key to eating a frog, is to know what the things you want to achieve and experience and learn and people you want to meet as goals, and then go after them with a vengeance. So what one thing, if you were to become excellent in it, would make a massive impact to you in your career, business, and personally. That would be one of your biggest frogs. So we would invite you to go after that with a vengeance, with a purpose, and make sure you're doing it in a fun sort of way. Because if it's fun, it's easier to get it done. So one of the keys to success is clarity. Most people are not as clear, or they're afraid to make decisions or get specific. Somebody say, well, I just want more money. So if I give them a $20 bill, I've given them more money. Is that what they really meant? No, they wanted a lot more money. But a lot and wanting more money doesn't help with the eating the frog process. What you want to be able to do is get real clear on how much more money do you want? Is it so much more an hour? Is it a business opportunity? What is it? What's the specific number? So when you sit down and think on paper and go through some of the answers to that question, how much money is what you're looking for, then you can look at ways to make that possibly happen. Get more education, change jobs, reach out to your boss, ask for a promotion. There's all sorts of strategies. I just threw a few out there. So the greater your clarity you have with regards to your goals and activities, the faster you will accomplish them. One of the reasons why focal point is called focal point is based on that premise. Being specific really accelerates the possibilities. Just imagine a magnifying glass. And the magnifying glass has two things it can do. It can make things bigger, allow us to read things. I know some of the fonts on some of the labels that I'm seeing, even though I have glasses, I can't read them. So I use a magnifying glass for that. But when I was a young guy, I used to start fires with them, not malicious to burn things down, but just harnessing the power of that magnifying glass. You could light grass on fire or put a hole through paper. So that's the idea behind having specificity, is to help you generate the ideas and the energy and the enthusiasm to get more stuff done. And clarity is the first thing. Decide what it is and why you want it. Those are the other things. So time allocation is important. Like I said before, this program is about getting more stuff. You might mistake it as a time management course, but we can't really manage time, right? We can only manage what we do with the time we have available. So for example, you can't save it. You can only spend it. Never changes. You only get 24 hours a day. You could do more. You could do less. Those are some of the things you could do with your allocation of time. Rules of time management: gain control and stop doing low value activities. So if you work on the high value activities opposed to low value activities, it'd be more like the 80-20 rule. So 20% of everything that we do in our life generates 80% of the outcome. A little test you could do at home is to look in your closet and do a calculation as close to 20-80 as you can get to, whatever the ratio ends up being for you. As I think you'll find, though, that it'll be pretty close to a 20-80 split of what clothes you actually wear most of the time. Now, if you live in a seasonal climate like Canada, where we have winter, the 80-20 rule will shift because you won't wear your summer clothes in the winter. That's not very sensible. But on the same token, you wouldn't wear your winter clothes in the summer. That's also not very sensible, usually, unless it's darn cold. But usually it's not that bad here. Even in Canada, we have summer. So focus on the high activities, stop doing the low value activities, and make stuff happen. One of the final points I want to share with you is this is a picture of a dog that I used to have, and we were doing a demonstration of fly ball. And fly ball is a process of 4 dogs running together in a relay race against another team of 4 dogs. And that's her with a ball in her mouth, going at pretty high speed. I don't know if she was quite that fast, but she was pretty darn fast. The fellow I got her from, Ron Gale, gave me this quote, unbeknownst to him. We were walking back from working with the sheep and having my dog learning how to do what she does naturally, but do it more efficiently, more effectively. He said, as we're walking down the path to his home, away from the training pens, he said, there's only ever 24 hours in a day and always 27 plus hours of work to be done. Ain't that the truth? Like, there's never enough time in a lifetime to get it all done. So prioritizing and going after the frogs that make the most sense, the highest value, are the ones to eat. So eat a live frog first thing in the morning, and nothing worse will happen to you the rest of the day. In fact, if you were to do this on a consistent basis, what you would find, as I mentioned earlier, is your efficacy, ability to get stuff done, your causative power, and your confidence and competencies would increase. And damn it, you just feel really, really good. So that moves me to this slide. The U in here is replacing the O for a reason. It's representing you. Now go out and eat your frogs and be the wonderful you that you are, and have an amazing rest of the week. And we'll see you on another episode of the Business Renovator. As soon as I get to where I want to go.
I get shit done, I have fun. It's my time and I'm the one. I'm breaking